Hello, Pirate family, and welcome to not only a weekly update, but this is really an update on our 5-year strategic plan. Just about a year ago, last November, I came to you with quite extensive amount of information that outlined our 5-year strategic plan, and it was broken up into phase one, two, and three, and we were in the midst of phase one, heading into phase two, and with that, not only provided information about our goals, our vision, and most importantly, our why and what's driving us to continue making the decisions that we do make on a daily basis or a yearly basis, but also what's our vision and for Phoenix Community Schools in the next 5 years, given what we know about our financial resources, our human resources, our structural resources, looking at enrollment projections. And it's that time again where I want to come and not only revisit some of that, but also talk about what the next steps are. Last year, part of our plan was to make sure we're maximizing our buildings the best that we can, looking at curriculum, making sure we're providing a fluid K-12 experience in terms of alignments. And with that came the decision to move sixth grade from Navigator to Pathfinder, which the transition to that has gone extremely well. Couldn't be more proud of our staff, our building leaders, our students, and our families for the support that they've given. And being in this building at Pathfinder, I get to see these kiddos each and every day. And sixth graders, it's like they've always been here, and that tradition has been extremely smooth. But along those lines, in that presentation last year, I also said with Navigator this year being a fourth and fifth grade, we're continuing to move forward, and we want to look at how do we maximize that. Take a look at both of our buildings at Country and Farley, and look at our long-term vision of really putting us in the best position, knowing where we're going to be about 5 years with enrollment. And that's really the driver, that we want to make sure that looking at our resources, that we're maximizing each and every one to their fullest extent. And so I'm going to revisit some of that with you today. And I know these presentations can definitely be lengthy, but providing the context and the information, I think, is imperative to understand, once again, the why and what's really driving us. We pride ourselves on being fully transparent with everything that we do, and it just allows the opportunity for some good substantive conversation to happen. We did present the presentation I'm sharing here at this moment with our board and with a large portion of our community that attended the board meeting last November, or not last month, actually, in November. And so I want to share that with you because it's a vision that I think is exciting, and once again, providing opportunities for our district. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with the presentation, and I appreciate you once again making a time to stay informed, stay engaged. And I do like these videos because, once again, it allows you to listen, to learn on your own time frame. You don't have to do it in one sitting. A lot of times I can't do that as well, just busyness of life and kids and family and such. And so, but it's also a great resource for anybody who wants to have this information. So this is entitled Phase 2. We were working on Phase 1, heading into Phase 2 about this time last year. And we want to go ahead and talk about where we're heading. And once again, we always start with our why. What's our driver? And we truly believe our why in everything we do is that we want to have Phoenix Community Schools continue to be the most valuable resource for our students, families, and community. And the number one resource, obviously, is education. And so that's our business, that's our profession, that's our passion, and that's our driver and everything. But also here in this community, what makes it so special is that we're such a large part. We're the largest employer, and we also want to be the greatest resource for our families, and not even just families that have kids in schools. I think by now you're fully aware that we have one of the most available resources to help those in need, both through our mobile food pantry that happens once a month, but also our Folly Hill food pantry that's open every Thursday. Anybody can take advantage of that. We've had a clothing closet at Navigator. We have opportunities throughout this district to help those in need, and not only for those types of needs in our community, but also our senior citizens and our community at large through our community ed program and classes, and even with the bond, trying to look at a vision of creating opportunities. We have exciting pickleball courts and leagues and opportunities that are occurring at this very time. That's part of that vision. And so making sure that we can provide support for our earliest learners from preschool, which I'm going to talk a lot about in this presentation, all the way to our senior citizens. And that's really drives everything we do, from our educational decisions to our financial decisions to the need to have a bond, and to continue, once again, being that number one resource. So that's the driver in all that we do. And I've shared this before, our pillars of how we do this. We continue to make sure that we have financial strength, which we've achieved. I've shared that we have a fund balance now of $3.4 million. That's coming through years of struggles. taking advantage of the pandemic and the opportunities that were before us, and making sure that we stayed stable. This isn't a one-time shot. That we need to continue making smart decisions, sometimes difficult decisions, to make sure we have financial stability, because the economic world is not where we want it to be. We're all struggling with inflation and increasing cost and just the unknowns. And so we have to make sure we're making strong decisions so that we can have a marketable district, not only for our students, for our staff. We want to recruit, we want to retain, we want to support the people that are here. And we have to make sure we're doing the right things on a daily basis to make sure we can make that happen. Strategic resource management, once again, that's human resources, that's financial resources, that's our buildings, everything we have that we're utilizing to the full extent. And obviously, everything we do is striving for academic excellence, that we're providing a quality experience for our students, opportunities for our students to explore, to chase those passions that they have. And so this is our how. We focus on these three areas. And then making sure our priorities is, I've just touched there, there's definitely some overlap, is that we're maintaining, increasing our fund balance. That's our savings account. We're providing equal and competitive contracts for all our employees, and we're managing declining enrollment. And our declining enrollment has definitely has improved over the years, and it's definitely looking like it's flatlining. It's something that we've had to contend with, and it's been a driver, unfortunately, to a lot of our decisions over the past decade. And we have to make sure that we make these our priorities moving forward. And finally, what is our what? This is the work. This is the work that we do each and every day, focusing on our finances, our enrollment, our resources, and our curriculum. So these are the four components that we focus on each and every day. This is the work, the what. We had our district leadership team do some great work. I've shared this in the past. Really taking a look at what do we want to look like in the future, what does our path look like, and what are the steps that we have to take to get there. And the steps are really the most important part. And I am proud to say that if you look at our steps, that these are things that are been taking place currently, and we've been able to accomplish, and we're in the midst of doing a lot of this work. And I'm not going to read through all this. This is where the video is really helpful, where you can pause it and read for yourself. But once again, it's broken up into four categories, from finance to curriculum to our social emotional learning and to our community partnerships. And these are really the strands we felt are most important to focus on in this district. This is through, once again, the work of our district leadership team that took place over the course of the past 18 months. But really, this is a driving document that is helping create the vision and the work that we have. And this is the other page, once again, of social emotional learning and community partnerships. And we know that the social emotional learning of our students has been a priority. We know that the mental health of students is always been a challenge, but it's even become more so of a challenge since the pandemic. And we're working with that each and every day. We're looking at the best practices to help support all of our students with managing anxiety, stress, but also those more serious components of mental health, and through our social workers, through our behavior specialists, through just our community partners, through CMH, and all the folks that help create a network of support around our students. And so, once again, this is the work that I've gone over before, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. You can read through this on your own. And once again, this is kind of the framework of our 5-year strategic plan, looking at phase 1 last year, and I've circled phase 2 there. And phase 2 is a grade configuration. We started with that last year, looking at 6th grade, and we were very upfront saying this is a continuation. And it was step 1 last year of moving 6th grade, and then looking at how do we want to position ourselves moving forward. Curriculum alignment is an ongoing that never stops. That's making sure we have a system K-12 across the board in all our areas of math, science, social studies, and ELA. And we've seen the power of that just through our K-5 work with our literacy, working with Orton Gillingham, and the data is already speaking for itself. And just what we see in the classroom has been powerful. And we want to get to that same level with our math, our social studies, and obviously with our science. And that work is occurring right now. We're continuing to work with our SEL framework. SEL is really kind of how do we best support all our students and our adults. Our vision for SEL is the well-being of all. I mean, really, who doesn't want that? We want everybody who's connected to our pirate family to be at their very best, both physically, mentally, to make sure that they have everything they need, the tools, the resources to reach their full potential. And that's just not for students, but that's for the adults who are working with our students as well. So that's really our driver there. And then once again, maximizing use of space. We're blessed with great facilities. We have ample space in this district, and obviously with enrollment, we have space that we have to make sure we're utilizing, and space does equal money, and it's okay to have that, but are we getting the return on investment that is necessary? And return on investment is a business term, but we use it all the time here. Is if we make investments, are we seeing a return on those investments? And that's not always a financial investment. Investment can be from an educational standpoint, and those are actually far more important than a monetary standpoint. So those are drivers that we look at, and that's kind of where we're at right now. And then you can see phase 3 is a continuation. These aren't driven by dates. These are driven by the work and the need and where we're at the time and place. I wanted to put this up here as well, because I think it really validates the work that we're doing here at Pinckney Community Schools. This is Michigan's top 10 in 10. This was actually created when Governor Snyder was in office. He's really trying to make sure that Michigan is positioned to be a top 10 educational state in 10 years, because things don't happen quickly. I mean, once again, this was created before the pandemic. And so, but we haven't given up on this. And Michigan knows there's definitely some challenges in terms of education in the state for a variety of reasons, but we do have a vision, and we do have goals set forth to continue to improve and to get better and be the best that we can be. And you can see number 1 there is expanding early childhood learning opportunities. And you're going to hear a lot about that, because we think that is so important, is getting connected with our early learners and really building a robust program to help capture and touch base with our youngest learners to help put them in the best position to be successful throughout their entire educational career. I've just already spoke about our literacy. That's something, if you've got young kids in our K2, K3 schools, or in Navigator 4 or 5, that you've been hearing a lot about, or in Gillingham and our literacy. I already talked about SEL, talks about improve the health, safety, and wellness of all learners. And that key word is wellness. And once again, our vision is the wellness, well-being of all. And that's really fits in line with what the state is looking to work towards as well. Expanding secondary learning opportunities for all students. We continue to do that through our dual enrollment partnerships with our community colleges, early middle college program, CTE programs, just a variety of learning opportunities for our kids. Hopefully that is evident here in Pinckney Community Schools. Increasing the percentage of all students who graduate from high school. I'm very proud to share that here at Pinckney, we have become one of the highest in terms of our rates in the county. We're up to 96% at Pinckney Community High School. We're extremely proud. That was a goal when Principal McBride and Principal Woods took over, is that we're going to work and to make sure we improve that percentage. And they've done an extraordinary amount of hard work along with their staff in a short period of time. And the evidence is definitely expressing the validation of their hard work. Increasing the percentage of adults with post-secondary credentials. That's our CTE programs. Kids leaving with us ready to hit the workforce if they so choose. Area of robotics, automotives. We started a welding program this year that's going to move into our CTE program. It's going to be the only standalone welding program in the county. And so we're extremely proud of this. Our business program. So once again, trying to give kids opportunities to open up more doors upon graduation when they leave us. And, increasing the number of certified teachers in areas of shortage, that is something that we're working hard. We're very fortunate to have teachers who are teaching, who are in the process of getting their certification in a variety of areas. And without these folks and their commitment to not only coming here and do a great job teaching each and every day, but they're taking classes and going to college in the evenings and the weekends. They have families themselves. And without these, it would be really hard to sustain some of the programs that we have. So continuing to work with the state on that, and then provide adequate and equitable school funding. That's something that the state is committed to do. And it's shown evidence that over the past, 4 years that we've had significant increases. Still more work to be done in this area, but definitely we can see evidence of the work. And this was something from the state standpoint, but hopefully you see alignment for the work that we're doing here at Pinckney Community Schools. So let's start talking about phase 2 of our plan for 23 and 24. So continuing on, and once again, enrollment is a big reason why we do the work that we do. And it's a driver. It's the best predictor that we have. Obviously, it's directly connected to our financial situation. And as I've shared before, Middle Cities is a is a report that we get, that all schools get, that we're expected to use, because it's one of the most reliable projections that we have for our enrollment. And what we've seen through the past several years is that around 25, 26, our enrollment should stabilize about 2,000 students. And we know we've been heading there. This has been something we've had our sights on. It hasn't changed a whole lot. So knowing what we know of our students at that level, we need to make sure we're positioned from a human resource, from a financial resource, and from a structural resource standpoint to support that, for financial stability, for academic excellence, for all the things that I've already mentioned, because we want to make sure that last statement, that last statement is that we must continue to be diligent in striving to become the most valuable resource for our students, families, and community by creating that financial stability through strategic resource management that will support and foster academic excellence. That's our charge. That's our responsibility. And here's just really quick, just to show the graph so that you have an insight of the data that I'm referring to. That top chart there, that has the date starting with 22-23, that was from last year. So that was the data when I did this presentation last year, about a year ago, that I'd put up there. And you can see right there, 22-23, it had us projected at 2,157 students. That's this year. And October count, we were at 2,134, and just a slightly lower from that number. And what we've seen is we actually had a little bit smaller numbers in our kinder ready and kindergarten numbers. Kinder ready across the board at both country and Farley, but our country numbers at country elementary and kindergarten were lower than we expected. And that's really that we know exactly the numbers were lower. It's almost exactly the difference from the projections that we had. But that projection is what we base our budget on, that 2157. Obviously, when it's 2134, we got to make adjustments along the way, and we've had to do that in years past. And so it's not an extraordinary large number, but it's something we still have to pay attention to. And some of that may just come through savings that were happening. I mean, we don't have a lot of snow in the winter. We have savings through our salt usage and just the plowing, and or if it's not as a cold winter, we can, from our utility bills. And so a lot of times those things equal out when the number's not that big. And so we're not too concerned at this point. But that bottom chart is the new report, because I get a new report every year, and you can see next year what enrollment is expected to be for 23-24. But more importantly, if you see longitudinally for the years that are following, for 5-year projection on both of those charts, you can see with a buffer of maybe 50 to 100 students, because it does vary, because there's some things you can't predict. It is going to definitely settle around 2,000 students. And even when you get down to 25, 26, the number of students is very minimal. I mean, you're looking at a change of like from 25, 26 to 26, 27, one student there. And so, I mean, because we can't predict who's going to move in, do they have families, things of that sort. People unfortunately have to move out for work. So the middle cities is really based on birth rate, community census, dynamics, age population. And if you know anything about our area, the age population has increased. The baby boomer generation is one of the biggest growth generations that we have. And the average age of our citizens, especially in Hammer Township, has increased extraordinarily, and that's just information from the township offices. And so just changing dynamics, and so that's the data that they use to help with these projections. So and you can see from that bar graph, just from a picture standpoint, when I say the stabilizing enrollment, you can see that for yourself without even looking at the numbers from the graph there. So just wanted to share that with you. And so really what we wanted to do here is we look for the future and looking, okay, where can we grow? What areas and opportunities do we have for growth, knowing what we know? And what we do know is that after the pandemic, there has been a lack of childcare and preschool options for people across, not only in our community, but across the county, state, and nation. Because of COVID, a lot of daycares have had to close, preschools have closed, not only just because of safety precautions, but just staff. A lot of folks left that work. They didn't have the staff to run it. And now that we're getting definitely more back to normal, if not too normal, that those opportunities are no longer there. And we've heard, parents who are struggling for childcare, getting their kids in preschool. There's been waiting lists. We've seen this year that the need here has increased, and we've had an interest from families seeking preschool. And, we're very happy to say we actually hired a new preschool teacher and opened another section this year at Country Elementary. And I'll be honest with you, when right before school started, we probably could have opened another section, but we just didn't have the human resources, the space, and to put that together at the last minute was very challenging to do. But and so we know this is a growing need. We understand that also a lot of our families and parents are no longer working at home. They're going back to work, which means once again, before they can keep their kids home, now they're definitely looking for opportunities. And preschool is a great way for not only from a childcare standpoint, but also for preparedness for K-12 learning for kindergarten. So, and we also know that with our own preschool program that we have here, it's a tuition base, which most are in throughout this county. And there are many families who just cannot utilize this. And and we're looking at ways to make sure that finances are not a barrier to help putting our students in the very best position to be successful, especially in the area of literacy. And the research is very clear. Those students who are involved in high quality preschool programs are poised, positioned to be far more successful for their entire K-12 learning career. And those students who are not part of a high quality preschool program are already kind of one step behind. And we do not want the financial situation of families to be a barrier. And that's really a driver behind some of the things I'm going to share with you as well. And we have a program that's called GSRP. That's Great Start Readiness. That is a state help supported preschool program that families can qualify for in terms of tuition free experience. And we do have a program here. It's actually currently housed at Lakeland Elementary, but we want to be able to extend that and really make it more available to students. And this is not anybody who's on poverty or people like that's not for me. This is really available to more families than you would think. And families would be surprised how easy it is actually to qualify. I believe the combined income is about threshold about $70,000 in order to qualify for a GSRP experience. And so we definitely want to provide more opportunities for families to take advantage of this, because as I stated here, is that our free and reduced lunch is the highest it's been as a district in a long time. It's 24%. That's close to 1 out of 4 students that actually have applied qualify. And we know that there's more families and kids that have not applied for free and reduced lunch that would qualify. So this number is, I'm sure, no doubt even higher. So the need is definitely there. And what our goal is to really look at connecting our families who could utilize GSRP, and then we have Head Start as well. Head Start is a federally funded preschool program, and it's being housed at Lakeland Elementary, which is one of our closed elementaries that we lease to Kensington Woods and utilize for early childhood as well. And our goal is to really connect with our families more, because they are disconnected at this time, and really help bring them and make them part of our country and Farley families, because we want to keep them here. We want them to feel part of our pirate family. And I think right now we're not able to do that. And so that's one of our goals in moving forward. So we have programs at Lakeland. We want to get them from Lakeland and get those families, those kiddos connected to our schools at Country and Farley. And alongside that, which I stated, we want to expand it. We want to create more opportunities, not only for our PCS preschool program, but for those who could take advantage of GSRP and Head Start. Because what I'm excited to announce is starting January 1st of this year of 2023 coming up, is that Pinckney Community Schools is being considered what's called a GSRP Spotlight or Partnership District. And our neighboring district in Fowlerville has been doing this for years. They have something called Little Glad Center. It's a great resource from the community. Their community is very much like ours. And we're moving in that direction, because not only is it going to open the doors for more families, it's going to connect more families with our district, but also Pinckney Community Schools will receive the full foundation, which is a little over $9,000 for each of those students that we will then will need to share through LESA, who really does facilitate the GSRP programs, but we will be taking ownership and working once again in a partnership relationship. But then PCS will get the other 50% of that will help put towards the program and also help support it financially. And so we're excited about that. And so that's really what we're looking to do. We really want to grow our preschool program, not only in opportunities, but quality. And that really leads to the next point here is that we have a great PCS preschool. My own kids have, all four have been through that. Many of your kids have been, and it has served them greatly. And it really did help them be successful for their early elementary experience and beyond. And what we want to do is continue focusing on building a very strong readiness program, especially in the area of literacy. Our teachers this year, which has been new with Basha Keeler, our curriculum director, bringing them on board. She's taking ownership of the program, getting them trained, getting them familiar with our Orton Gillingham program, connecting them with our existing kindergarten and first and second and third grade teachers. So what's in alignment? We want to have the strongest, the highest quality preschool program in Livingston County and throughout our own community, so that once again we provide that opportunity for kids to be successful and put them in a great position for academic success. Once again, I stated this before, the research clearly demonstrates that this experience helps put kids right where they need to be when entering kindergarten. And those kids who are not part of this are already kind of one step behind. And that's shame on us as educators and just as adults. If we have an opportunity to help put kids in the best possible position, let's do everything we can to do that. And, more importantly, we want to be able to connect and support our youngest learners. The better we can support their learning and get to know them at an early age, the better we can continue that on and make sure we have great plans in place to help support them. I don't know if you're familiar that there's been talk at the state level about universal preschool, meaning providing preschool to every student, 4-year-old in the state of Michigan. There are states in our in the USA that do already provide this, and their data is very clear on the impact on student success and literacy. And we want to get ahead of that. If that's something that does happen down the road, and let's put ourselves in a great position to be proactive if or when that happens. But if it doesn't, let's make sure that we can provide as many opportunities for those in our community to take advantage of it. And once again, the truth is, if we don't provide these opportunities, especially once again, there's waiting lists, there's people looking to get into preschool, childcare, that they're going to go elsewhere, and we don't want that. We want to keep our families here. We want we consider all of our kiddos to be pirates. We want them to be part of our pirate family, and let's connect with them. Let's keep them here from an early age, and because that just helps once again with recruitment, retention of students. It helps the whole system from an educational standpoint, from a financial standpoint, and just from a community-based standpoint. And so it's really about long-term sustainability, financial stability, and just community strength. We want to, as I stated before, utilize all our resources, but our structural resources. And this is where our buildings come in. And we have to make sure, are we using the space to get that return on investment from an educational standpoint, from a financial standpoint. And, when we look at expanding our preschool program, which means our PCS, tuition-based program, GSRP, it's just not feasible given the great configurations that we have right now. We want to put these in our great schools of Country and Farley Hill, and we just don't have the space. That's one of the reasons why we were going to struggle to add even another section. We had the opportunity to add one more at Country, but that was really our limits. So as we look at growing, we look at expanding down the road, we got to make some decisions. And we would rather create more flexible learning options for future planning. That's really a future that's really unknown in a lot of different ways. And we don't want to limit ourselves. And, one of our strengths, I think, is Pinckney Community Schools. We've been adaptable, we've been flexible, we've been able to change and adapt to all the different constraints that we have placed upon us. And we need to continue making sure we put ourselves in a position to continue doing so. And one thing I shared last year in my presentation is that Navigator is in the process of transition to what I call a traditional elementary school. Before it was kind of in this gray area with 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And really what we've heard from our parents and really what we wanted to provide is a true, what an elementary experience feels like, sounds like. And, we know what that is because we have it at both Country and Farley Hill. And it was one of the reasons why we're excited to have Ruth Badalucco come over from Country, because she's had that experience. She's been at Navigator before. And if you're a parent at Navigator, hopefully you've already seen, felt, and heard the changes that have been in place. And I know I have. I know the feedback, the parent involvement, and just the energy, the positive outlook has been traumatic in a positive way. And so we want to continue that on. And one of our goals was to create self-contained grade level classrooms throughout the school starting 23-24. This year, we've been moving that direction. Our goal is to, once again, have that experience where, you're in 3rd, fourth or fifth grade that you're going to have your classroom teacher. And once again, it's going to be Navigator Elementary School. And there's going to be no grade, there's going to be no upper. And that's really the set starting with 23-24. And I shared that in phase one of our strategic planning. The date was actually November 19th of 2021, that we'd be exploring the potential of adding additional grade levels, and that we would continue building that new experience. And even in that presentation, I was talking about the potential of moving third grade over, or even looking at second grade. And so with that in mind, I'm happy to say, and I'm excited to say, that starting in 23-24, that Navigator Elementary School will include third, fourth grade, and will no longer be referred to as an upper elementary. And it's not second grade; it's just third, fourth, and fifth. We have put everything up on the table. What's going to be best thing for curriculum alignment, for space, for our families, and moving forward. And really feel that moving third grade and having an elementary school of third, fourth, and fifth grade at Navigator, and then keeping both Farley Hill and Country K2, but really opening the door for our preschool programs, including our existing Kinder Ready programs in there as well. So it's going to be from early childhood, fourth grade preschool, all the way to second grade. And we feel like that model will help provide quality experience for all our families. It'll help meet our goals. It'll help give us the flexibility we need in the future if we need to continue growing those programs, and really be poised to achieve all our goals, our vision, for not only the next 5 years, but beyond, given the enrollment that we have, and given what we know this year, making a decision. So I'm excited about that, and I think it's been a great fit. Mrs. Badalucco, once again, who's done a great job at Country Elementary, doing a superb job at Navigator, is already been thinking, extremely excited, working with her staff, and has a plan for working with parents for the second part of the school year and helping us transition. Once again, the transition, moving sixth graders to Pathfinder, went extremely well. And our staff, our leaders, they understand the worry, anxiety sometimes that comes with that. They will take care of you, and they will, more importantly, take care of our kids. And I'm excited about that opportunity. Once again, starting next school year, 23-24, we'll have a third, fourth, and fifth grade school. So if you actually want to look at some neighboring districts that look like that, Fowlerville, who is our most comparable neighbor in the county, they've had this model for several years. They have K2 elementaries. Then they have another elementary as 3, 4, 5. They call it a junior high, 6, 7, 8. Then their high school, 9-12. So we're not using them as a model, but that is just to say that there is another district in the county that looks exactly like us. Even our neighbors to the south, in Dexter, very similar, a little bit different. They have some more transitions, but our kids will be served well. Our third graders, working with a great team already at Navigator. But with our students, where they're at in third grade, third, fourth, and fifth, we're extremely excited for what the potential is for all the kids there. And we're going to continue our strong collaboration and work between all our elementaries. That's been key in all areas, especially our literacy, but not math, science, and social studies. Having those teachers work together with alignment. We fully plan on continuing our strong, some call it electives, but they're specials at the elementary, of art, PE, music, computer science. We want to continue giving those experiences, giving kids opportunities to get exposure, especially when we continue supporting our great music program, especially when it gets to the middle school and high school. None of that's going to be compromised in this. And, once again, this configuration will provide the structure needed to help us continue to focus on our curriculum. Remember, academic excellence is one of our primary purposes, and it's going to provide space needed to really focus on expanding and growing our early childhood program, because we really feel that's where the return on investment is once again, not only for our families, there's a need there that we know it's there, but when you look at a K-12, now a preschool to 12th grade experience, we want our families to be here in PDP schools. We want them to be part of our amazing family. They have an opportunity with high quality teachers starting at preschool all the way to the day they graduate. So next steps moving forward is that we're getting ready to wrap this up. We want to continue working with LASA because that really is our partner with GSRP. And Sean LaRosa, many of you may know, was a former teacher and then principal of Lakeland Elementary, but she's actually been the early childhood leader, not only in our county, but at the state level. And she's a great resource. She's got a great heart for Pinckney Community Schools. And we're going to continue working with her as we transition to become a spotlight district here in January of 2023. And we're going to begin working with our principals to develop transition plans for moving our current second and third graders to Navigator. So remember, our current second graders who will be third graders next year would be moving. So we're going to be moving 2 groups to Navigator next year because our current third graders would be moving there regardless. We had to do the same thing this past year. We moved 2 grades from Navigator to Pathfinder. It's a 1-year thing when you make this change. But once again, that work will happen upon returning from holiday break in January, and that transition not only for our students but for our families as well. We want to create a process for our staff to, once again, same thing we did at Navigator, who may want to come over. Obviously, there's third grade teachers. We're going to have shifting around with staff. We always have retirements. We have a variety of staff making decisions on what's best for their family and their own professional career, and we'll take all that in consideration. You definitely want teachers to say, hey, I want to continue to teach third grade. I want to move over to Navigator. That sounds like an exciting opportunity. That's what we want to start with. And then if we have some gaps and holes, we'll have to fill that. We may have to hire some folks in Navigator. We'll take all that in consideration. That will probably happen later in the spring. It's usually when staffing decisions. But just for our staff to know that we're going to follow a similar process than we did at Navigator. We have a lot of plans at Navigator for building improvements. We've had this kind of in mind moving forward. We want Navigator to feel like a new school. It already does with where we're at this year, but also just aesthetically, if you've been there, we have a whole new gym and we've done some work out in the playground, but we have a lot more work to do. The commons area, we want to open things up. We want to be a great colorful space, new flooring, there's new paint, there's new lighting. We're continuing more work at the playground. We know that's an important part for an elementary. And so that work is continuing this year, but also for the summer. And then we also allow building improvements, both Country and Farley. And, the bond is a 10-year bond that we're looking at. We have a lot of work from lighting, from doors to carpeting to parking lots. And so that work's going to continue moving forward. So just wanted to let you know that's our vision. That's what we want to head. And we're excited about the future of Pinckney Community Schools. And then I just want to be transparent too, strategic resource management, and I'm sorry, my box is covering that. It says academic excellence. I do want to let you know that we have teams at both the high school and Pathfinder for the past year, been really looking at, how do we utilize our programs, what we offer for students, looking at our human resources, our teachers, the number of students we have. And our high school has gotten smaller. Obviously, everything gets smaller with our enrollment as we get down to 2,000 students. We're about 660 students at the high school right now, and probably going to be around between that and 600 coming in the next few years. And so they're really taking a look at what's the best structure that we can provide, that we can manage, that we have the staff for, that we have the highly qualified staff for, to sustain it. And so they're going to be providing a presentation on January 12th at the board meeting. BLT team, which is called the building leadership team, along with the building leaders, Mrs. Sandula and Mrs. McBride, Mrs. Woods, at both Pathfinder High School, talk about the possibility and their proposal for moving to 6 period days. And I know there's a lot of questions that come with that. There's a lot of concerns at times come with that, but this group has been extremely thoughtful, and because they understand the challenges that may come with the change, but also taking a look at it as an opportunity, from the high school credits to options for kids. There's a lot of flexibility that our students, especially at high school, we have dual enrollment, we have CTE classes. The state of Michigan has opened up some more flexibility when it comes to the Michigan Merit Curriculum Standards, those requirements of classes that you have to complete. So taking a look at this and trying to look at from the vision of, once again, what's the best way that we can provide a comprehensive quality program that allows students to follow their passions, to get the exploration, to get the experiences, to meet the high school requirements, both at a local and state level, but also managing our resources. And so they're going to be coming to us on January 12th with some ideas, with their rationale, with their why on the 12th. And we're going to have some time as a school district to reflect on this, to think about it, our Board of Education to ask good questions, with the ultimate goal of voting one way or another on the 23rd of whether this is something that we're going to move forward with for the 23-24 school year. So I just want to be transparent. This is kind of another step of our phase 2 of our program, for the same reasons that I pointed out at the beginning, taking a look at our why, our what, and our how. And so excited about this. And if you have any questions, and obviously January 12th is the board meeting that this is going to be presented to. We'll definitely be providing information to the community at large as well. So I want to thank you for your time, your commitment to be engaged. I know this is a lot of information, but it's here. It was shared at a board meeting last month. Our board did approve at last night's board meeting to move forward with the transitioning of 3rd grade to Navigator at the board meeting last night. And so we're excited about that. And please have trust and faith that we're going to continue supporting our families and our students and our staff throughout these processes. But we're excited for what the future holds. Hopefully what and how we have managed the past 2-3 years through some very challenging times has earned your trust, and will continue to earn your trust moving forward. We're definitely not perfect by any means, but we learn from our own mistakes, but we're also using information, the data, the feedback from parents, from staff, to help pave the future, a bright future for our community, for our district. And I'm excited about it, the expansion of our preschool program, because capturing those young learners and our families, and making them feel part of our pirate family from an early on stage is going to benefit everybody. So thank you. I wish you and your family great holiday season, a Merry Christmas. We have a little more than a week to go before we all depart for a couple weeks. But thank you for once again being part of our pirate family. Thank you for your support. I want to thank you for the feedback and everything you do for your own children and for all the children of Peony Community School. So take care, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon. And once again, go Pirates.